And on that note, because it is now 7:15, let's start this show. It's a Zoom meeting. Good morning, everyone. Morning meeting number 1491, January 15th. Rotary Club of St. Albert. I'm your host, President Mark Dixon. I recognize our executive members present, our board members present, fellow Rotarians, and guests. Please stand for the singing of O Canada. No, that's one time is good. Thank you. And we respectfully acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. As treaty people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we share the responsibility for stewardship of this beautiful land. Inspirational moment is Dave Pickering. Is Dave with us this morning?
I am there. Good morning, everybody. I guess I'm just inspired by the resiliency of my kids, and not only my kids. I'm sure it's a lot of people's kids out there, just with how they've been able to adapt to their new world, and I guess it's their new normal. It's just been kind of really cool to see them just able to transition from regular school to online school, back to in-person to online, just seamlessly. And now they're continuing all their activities, like dance classes now online, and which is kind of cool. And one of my other daughters is doing like online skill sessions with SASA, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's really cool to watch them grow and just figure out their new world. And just by watching them kind of has inspired me to be a better dad there. So it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool to see how people are adapting. And just, I'll leave you with this kind of quote I found, which was kind of appropriate when it comes to like small people or small kids there. It's a Dalai Lama quote, and it's, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito.
Nice. Appropriately Aussie. Thanks, Dave. Very nice. Introduction of guests this morning. Daria, how about we start with you?
Yes, Mark, we have Jacqueline Green with us this morning. Unfortunately, Jacqueline woke up sick, but she's still here. So thank you, Jacqueline, for joining us, and I'll provide a bit more intro later.
What a trooper. Thanks so much, Jacqueline. Other guests? Ash, yes.
Mark, I'd like to welcome Crystal Gossman. She's a volunteer coordinator for the St. Albert Food Bank.
Wonderful. Welcome, Crystal. And I see Mary O'Neill has joined us this morning. Welcome, Mary. Nice to see you.
Mark, are there any of the Palms to Pines Rotarians in? I haven't looked at the whole sheet.
I do not see any of your other club here,
Okay.
but I have to say our nose is a little out of joint that you're seeing two clubs at the same time. We thought you were exclusive, so.
You are. You get all my money.
Nice.
Okay.
And we have Natalia with us this morning. So let us give them an appropriate welcome.
Welcome to Rotary, glad you are here. Come shake our hands and share a friendly cheer. Whether from near or whether from far, we're glad you're here. We hope that you will like our little song because we're proud of St. Albert, and you'll agree our club enjoys some great camaraderie. So we do what we can to help with the needs of our community with our friends at Rotary. With our friends at Rotary.
Lovely. Nicely done. So Daria, I will hand it over to you to do the introductions, please.
Thank you, Mark. So Jacqueline Green is the founder of the international Great Parenting Simplified non-profit organization. She's also the author of the upcoming book, Strong Enough to Stay, Work It or Leave Happy. She's been a parenting coach, educator, and popular speaker for 20 years, specializing in helping stressed out professional women who have school-aged kids. Since 2010, Jacqueline has also interviewed over 150 of the world's top parenting-related educators. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you very much. Delighted, and Daria, delighted with the welcome. And I wanted to acknowledge James Casaleas, who is a friend of mine from Edson Rotary when he was there. And can you hear me okay, by the way?
Absolutely.
Okay. James, I'm realizing one thing's not plugged in that normally is. So if you have any problems hearing me, let me know. But James and I knew each other in Edson Rotary, and he's who introduced me to Daria. And I am delighted to come here and speak to you today. I'm sorry, I am energetically maybe a little bit off, but hopefully just pretend you didn't hear that and hopefully you won't notice anything. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. And I like to start with asking, I'd like to know a little bit about you, and whether it's in the chat or if you could unmute, it would be great. I'd like to know how many people in the room are parents, and you can also just raise your hand. How many of you are grandparents and aunts and uncles? And what's the top issue that you are seeing with kids right now? And again, yeah, please. Someone was saying something for
mental health.
Yeah, mental health issues, absolutely. What else?
Too much time on a variety of devices, phones,
Yeah.
and
Great one. Too much time on devices. I'm seeing boredom in the chat. Loneliness.
Loss of socialization, particularly for ages 4 to 6.
Yeah, loss of socialization. Can't see friends. Yes. Too much.
Yeah, I agree with Charlie. Too much screen time.
Yeah. Okay, and throughout the presentation, please keep sharing in the comments because it's really a great way to engage. And I really want to know who's in the audience and what your issues are and what you're seeing. So this presentation is, I'm calling it a new approach to helping kids. And you'll understand by the end why I'm calling it that. A little bit more about me and just a titch. Delighted recently to have done things like presenting, interviewed on global television, being on major media, being on major speaker series with people such as Martha Beck, Dr. John Gray, Ariana Huffington, and my upcoming book is Strong Enough to Stay, Work It Out or Leave Happy. And my biggest claim to fame, I feel really strongly, is my parents have 6 university degrees, 3 and 3. Dr. David Green, and my mom has a master's and 2 bachelors, so nicely equally divided. And my experience, I would have thought I would be the parenting expert in the ivory tower, not the parent who really came from disaster to master. And that is because when I actually moved to Edson 20 some years ago, I found myself in a marriage that quickly disintegrated and had escalating physical violence. And I took the 2 kids you see on the left of that picture, Sam and Lauren, who are now 23 and 21, I took them to the Hinton Emergency Shelter. The Yellowhead Emergency Shelter is in Hinton. And that did stop the escalating physical violence. There's lots of other ways marriages can be challenging. And although the physical stopped, within a year of getting back together, I had the really uncomfortable realization and painful realization that things had just gone sideways in some key other ways. And I won't get into details, but the long and short is I did stay 14 more years. And it was ultimately, my marriage was a gift for me as well as for the kids. And so my message in Strong Enough to Stay is not another somebody did somebody wrong book, or the message is ultimately about how staying and learning to make the best of that situation ultimately served me, served my children phenomenally. And I now have children who are doing very well, both of them, and not scarred to the degree that they could have been, which does not mean that there are no effects. But now we have our organization. We just became a nonprofit cooperative in September, and we have parents from over 101 countries. We have coaches from 9 countries. And these are some of our coaches and some of our parents here. So kids need us right now. And I know definitely, I love that someone jumped in like right away with mental health and with screen issues and with the loneliness and boredom. There's been a huge increase in mental health issues, even during the pandemic itself. Oh, fabulous. And someone say 9 grandchildren in the same home, all homeschooled by our daughter-in-law. And actually that is so interesting, Jerry, because there's many ways where parenting has gotten dramatically harder, and having 9 grandchildren in the same home and guaranteed that your children, whoever's raising those and homeschooling those children, they've known how to parent in a way that bypasses a lot of the problems that are going on nowadays. And that does not mean that homeschooling makes sense for most people nowadays. It doesn't, but there can be big advantages if you're in one of those situations where it does. So huge increase in mental health issues. Along that line, suicide numbers during the pandemic, and I'm sure you've heard some of these stats, anxiety is on the increase, depression, and all of these things were on the rise before the pandemic as well. The pandemic's just ramped things up substantially. Self-harm, etc. And self-harm is something we didn't even talk about, was not really much of a thing when I and most of us grew up. Part of the reason we pushed and became a nonprofit cooperative in the middle of the pandemic is when the pandemic hit, instantly, my gut sense was that there were suddenly a lot of parents out there who were feeling like I was, which was stressed, isolated, and oh my goodness, I can't do this. And how on earth can I do this? But I've got to do this. At my lowest, I wanted to leave the planet. With that, when I referenced a year later and realizing that my ex never apologized for the violence, he just promised it would quit. And that was a really key distinction that really needed to happen in order for change to happen. So I felt really trapped, wanted to leave the planet, but realized that was an incredibly horrible legacy to leave my kids. So my heart went out to these parents. And realistically, the interpersonal violence was not just going between my ex and me, and because definitely there were ways that I was also not supporting him, but there was definitely issues with me screaming at my kids. And unfortunately, I have since, leaving him the second and last time 6 years ago, I have since learned that he justified his violence towards me because of the fact that he knew I was screaming at the kids sometimes. And it's so sad because the only difference really between him and I was that one of us realized what we were doing wasn't cool. And the other one of us thought it was okay because he thought he was protecting the kids, I gather, and not seeing the big picture of how much his violence towards me was contributing as well. Oh, and someone's saying they have a grandson 10 minutes away so they can drop baking off to his office. That's just fantastic. So interpersonal violence is on the increase, and we really want to do something about that, not just adult to adult. And in a crisis, we need to be efficient with resources, right? And that's where the kids, helping kids in a new way comes in. So what enables us to tackle big jobs? Who wants to jump in? And I'm thinking I maybe could use a different picture, but this is the image that came to mind for me when I tried to think of this concept. So who wants to tell me what they see?
That's a block and tackle.
Okay, fabulous. And you know what? I actually didn't even know you call it a block and tackle. I thought I chose this image as a sample, like what does a block and tackle allow us to do? Well, and I guess I've already written it enables us to tackle big jobs, right? But the concept I wanted to capture was leverage. So the block and tackle is to get us leverage so that you can take someone, I love we've got a little one watching us here. So we can take a situation where we need a lot of leverage and you know, a person all by themselves can lift something big if you've got something like that on your side. So what we're doing at Great Parenting Simplified is an upstream model. And we can remove pollutants downstream, and that can be really powerful and important. But if you can reduce pollutants from hitting the river, that's much more powerful, correct? So realistically, we actually need to do both because there's certainly situations where we cannot remove the pollutants before they hit downstream. And in this case, where we're already dealing with kids who are highly stressed, helping the kids as well as helping the parents makes an awful lot of sense. So one quote that I took out of a Time magazine article: if COVID-19 is sparing most kids' bodies, it's not being so kind to their minds. When the economy is in a bad place, kids' mental health gets worse. The article writer says, this time it's going to be much worse because it's also a pandemic. And how many of you have in business settings heard the concept of never wasting a good crisis? It's Winston Churchill is one of the people attributed to a version of this quote, and I think he's the founder of it. I feel really passionately that right now our kids can actually be better off if the pandemic prompts their families to get the help they need. Because of course, going back to the upstream model, if you can help the parents, there's so many ways when you're helping the kids, but the same pollutants hit in the stream, the same challenges are happening, and not because the parents are bad in any way, shape, or form. Parenting has gotten so much harder. There's so many ways that the fundamental relationship between parents and children has been eroded. The fundamental relationship that had parents and children and grandparents and community members connecting. There's so many ways that stress is on the rise for everyone, and this was all pre-pandemic. But during the pandemic, kids are really getting buffeted by parents who are stressed right out. So if we can help those parents as well as helping the kids can be better off. So our vision, just a little bit about Great Parenting Simplified, we highlight parents as the frontline workers. And I love that we have signs around and we've had a lot of recognition of healthcare workers, but really parents are frontline in this pandemic and in some crazy ways of being healthcare workers, education workers, and managing their own jobs at the same time and whatever they were doing before. Parents need support and deserve it. And parenting is a key leadership role. And we need to change the culture around how we talk about parents and the job, because gone are the days where you could just birth your child and let your instincts kick in. We now need genuine leadership training in order to be the best parent we can be. So it requires training and is, you know, arguably something that we are not seeing as a leadership role that requires training in to the same degree that it does. So what is Great Parenting Simplified? What's the movement all about? It's about helping kids with that leverage, like I said. It's about simplifying parenting. How many of you have noticed that parents nowadays are consuming gobs of parenting information, and that in and of itself is another stressor? The parenting books, the parenting podcasts, the lectures. You know, I started out with Great Parenting Simplified. We started out as the Great Parenting Show 10 years ago, got a producer in California and was doing it from Edson, Alberta. And various people, including the producer, got a kick out of the fact that the town was smaller than our audience. But when we were doing that, what I started seeing is that parents would come, they'd listen. First off, they'd feel like they needed to listen to every single interview. And then they also were purchasing a lot of the programs that my experts were offering. And at that point, that was the model that I was using. And unfortunately, those parents then were feeling worse about themselves because they had purchased a program, right? And they were consuming and really frantic to try and learn something. And I, after a while, said, I can't be part of this. I need to do something different here, because this volume of information is part of the problem. So it's about less consuming information and more applying information. Because what happens when you consume information and you still can't apply it? Does it make you feel better about yourself or worse? And if you feel worse about yourself, are you more or less likely to lose it again with your children and to, you know, do something that you'd vowed you weren't? The answer is more, right? And I was living that cycle, had lived that cycle, and definitely could see that the world needed more applying of information for parents and less, sorry about that. Countering loneliness is a huge one. Social media, unfortunately, social media has many pluses. And one of the pluses can be the connections with extended family, for example, and with community members, particularly in the pandemic. But a lot of people are not actually sharing what's really going on for them on social media. It's not the venue for it, unless you get yourself into a private group or something like that. But a lot of what we do is countering loneliness and the belief that a lot of women have that they are monsters. And I keep emphasizing women because that's the main audience that we work with, but our work applies to men, and we do work with dads and caregivers as well. With dads, it's often one-on-one, just not in our small group programs, by the way. Countering that loneliness, which feeds mental health issues, and along that line, getting real, which includes me sharing, you know, that I screamed at my kids and that I had clinical depression twice and how I learned to not keep going there. My experience is shame breeds in silence. Some of you may know Brene Brown's work, and she's done a lot of great work about the importance of having spaces where we can be vulnerable, and about how shame is so toxic for mental health, for violence, etc. So how do we provide GPS? How do we provide support and training? Educational talks, traditional courses, as well as in-depth transformational work. And we're passionate about all of those things because the in-depth transformational work is really important for people who want to go further. And just helping parents, here's a concept that you might want to share with the parents in your life. Okay is the new great. If you've got a parent in your life and you're a parent and you're doing okay, you are a flippin' rock star. And the parents in my community who were doing great when the pandemic hit, they're doing okay now. Because realistically, what the demands and what parents were trying to do pre-pandemic was insane. Post-pandemic, it's just, during the pandemic, my brain's a little fuzzy this morning, but during the pandemic, it's unmanageable, absolutely unmanageable. And we do have lots of really stressful decisions being made right now. So the transformational work is about helping moms to transform via small groups. And our parent coach training program is so that we can transform larger numbers. One of the choices I had is I could have kept charging more and more for my services and gone that route, and I didn't want to go that route. Instead, I wanted to go the route of helping more people, but getting the interpersonal connections. I'm a farm girl from southern Saskatchewan originally, and those community connections really matter, and people don't have them like they need to, especially stressed out, busy parents just don't have the time to cultivate that on their own either. So how to help kids, I can tell you a little bit about that. How about I'll go to questions, and then I do have a couple things that I can mention about how we might partner together if the Rotary Club of St. Albert was interested in helping kids in St. Albert in a new way by looking at supporting the parents. But yeah, questions, maybe I'll stop the share for a minute. And someone, yeah, so Jackie Hansen, who I know, I believe as a trustee, she was the Alberta School Board Association chair when I was a trustee. None of us had an instruction book, just our own experience and watching others. Now these people are inundated with advice. Advice, yes, and advice that may not be realistic. That is such a key point, because what I'm seeing again and again is that parents, so the homeschooling situation, attachment science is something that explains why we behave how we do. When you meet in person, it explains why you sit where you sit. A lot of times it explains, we even learn how to talk based on, we pick up the language of the people we're most attached to. Attachment has been deeply, seriously eroded. And a lot of parents will learn about attachment, and then they'll start thinking they have to do everything perfectly. And they don't. There's absolutely no need that they do everything perfectly. By the way, I don't know why. I don't know if my video popped forward or not. I don't know if you can see me, but I did stop the screen share. But yeah, fabulous point. Parents are on the front line. Ash is saying community structures, teachers, police, social workers, recreation. I'm not 100% sure, Lynn, what that comment was in reference to, but it might be one of the ways that we certainly are trying to help parents already. And there are ways that parents are being supported. One of the biggest things I'm seeing is that parents need a lifeline in terms of their stress, and just the fact that okay is the new great. I get parent after parent laughing when they hear that, but also relief, because just realizing that they need to lower their expectations and just having someone validate that what they're trying to do is not possible, but also validate that from that crisis point, which is definitely, I was in a serious crisis when my kids were little, great things can happen, and that can give us hope and inspiration as well. Yeah, Douglas is saying we're not prepared to be with our kids 24/7. School plays an important role in education, and taking the kids away for 5 hours. It is insane, because I know we have people who are losing their jobs as a result, and that financial stress then just adds one more burden to it. Single parents who must work or struggling with childcare. I've been lucky. Okay, and that was Jerry and Shauna saying, I've been lucky that I've been working in person, so I get to interact with other parents and talk about the struggles all of us are facing. Yes, because that social isolation then is its own problem for the parents too. And that expectation, there's also some real need to educate parents about resiliency and what makes children resilient. And I could happily get into a little bit of that, but oh, Dr. Green, so this is really fun. Dr. Ross Green, so he's known for kids do well if they can. And I've interviewed Dr. Green, and he's agreed to look at my book and endorse it as long as he likes it. He's an amazing human being, and I want to be known for moms do well if they can, because realistically, it's the same with us. And as moms, understanding the cycle, really it's a cycle of violence within ourselves, that the harder we are on ourselves, the the more likely we are to keep doing whatever it is we're trying not to do. And that includes, you know, eating and being on the phone and whatever other addictions as well. But yeah, I love that you know Dr. Green's work. He's an amazing human being. Okay, well, maybe, I'm not sure. Daria, do you want me to just go on and share the last slide and go from there?
Sure, and then if people have questions, then that would be it.
Okay, sounds good. So what the last thing I wanted to say is that there are some specific ways that you can help kids in St. Albert. One of them is supporting a presentation to go into the schools. And I'll share a testimonial in a minute from Imperial when we did this presentation there. I have a presentation for 3 tips during the pandemic, and one of them is lowering expectations, which is I've already referenced, and it's really, really key. But another one is some creative ways to get support, and I can get more into that. But supporting what I'm wanting to do, and this is a new venture because we just became a nonprofit cooperative in the fall, and then a couple months ago got this presentation booked with you, is we would like to make bursary money available for those parents who can't afford to get support and want to go further. Many parents, just the opening up the idea of, I know that a lot of people really appreciate me sharing my story and really appreciate that it's not a hard luck story. It's really the best thing that could have happened to me in so many ways was the crises I went through, because I had mental issues, health issues before. They started in childhood, and I really had stressed out wonderful parents, but they were busy professionals, extremely stressed, did not have a lot of support. And as a result, I had a lot of growing up to do and a lot of coping mechanisms that weren't working for me. Also supporting presentations to go into places like women's shelters, because of course that's still very much helping the children. Telling people about our work. If you know anyone who you think might, you know, whether it's a professional who might want us to come in, and myself or the other coaches, we have one other coach in Alberta, in Calgary, or whether it is, and of course everything's virtual right now anyways, but whether it is people who might want to have a free consult and just talk about what type of support they might need. And I said I'd share this testimonial. If you look, I wonder if I probably can't do it on the fly, but in that tractor, or that, whatever you call, those are the Fort McMurray trucks, right? Those ginormous ones. That's actually a client of mine, a client who got me to come in to speak, and she is in the tire. She's an engineer, and she's responsible for the curl. Well, we'll see in a moment exactly where she's from. And she just said it was exactly what we needed to hear, with actionable tips in a way that opened up space for us as parents to acknowledge the hard work we're doing and celebrate that. And she said, parents need to hear her tips for finding sanity and even joy, especially in the midst of the pandemic. And she's, the Curl Oil Sands Mine for Imperial Oil. So that's what I had wanted to share with you. And I'm pleased that my fuzzy head seems to have done well enough that hopefully that made sense. But please ask questions, comments, love to hear whatever is on your mind. And thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Are there any questions for Jacqueline?
Hi, Jacqueline. It's Jackie.
Yeah, delightful. I'm tickled.
Nice to hear your voice. What I worry about with kids, actually parents, because I think parents are the frontline workers, is that parents who don't have access to grandparents or to family or to a little bit of mentorship for themselves within their so-called bubble, that they're not getting a break. So grandparents are great about talking directly to their grandkids and finding out how school is, and sort of taking the break off the parents and maybe having a good conversation with parents about, you know, how you feeling? Is it hard? You know, how can I help? I'll drop off cookies, kind of thing. So, and I think there's a lot of people, single people out there, people who live in Alberta that don't have family accessible to them. So is there anything, is there any program in there that could help these parents, you know, reach out in their communities, just like lots of reach out programs? But I don't even really know what my question is, but I think our parents, as you say, just sometimes need one person, just like a kid needs one person sometimes in their whole life to help them through. Parents also need that go-to person.
Yes.
And I wonder if you could comment on that.
Okay, and sorry, by the way, there may be something going on in my family because my mom's called 3 or 4 times and now my son's calling. But yeah, but that's, I'm sure we'll be fine for a few minutes. But one of the biggest things we teach our moms, as part of the moms who do this, the small group intensive, especially, we help them really make sure that they get those type of connections. But when we are, like when I moved to Edson at first, I wasn't sharing with anyone. I took my kids to the women's shelter, and basically the only best friend, the person who I had met through church and did some things with, she had no idea there were issues with my husband and I went to a shelter. So I just wasn't sharing with anyone. So you're talking about the need for parents to have people to connect to as well as the kids, correct? Yeah. So part of what's fascinating, part of what we do for the people who are in our small group program is they actually become lifelong connectors with each other because they've opened up and shared. And I've got various testimonials, including a beautiful video from a woman in Britain who at that point, she was the only one in Britain in our groups. And she said, I am closer now to some of these women I've never met than I am to the people I see. And what we've found is then some of these people then get better at opening up to some of the people in their life, because most of us are terrified to say what's really going on for us because we think we'll be judged and nobody will like us. And that's how I felt. And yet when things got so challenging, I had to open up, and it was a gift. So, but we also we do a lot of work helping parents to mend rifts with family members too, because there's a lot of times where our moms, and I get it, I was there, where we're not communicating with our own family, and we're not trusting our own grandparents to be involved with our kids or to support us. So we do a lot of work with that as well.
Thank you. So you're fostering relationships. That's great.
Absolutely. Extended relationships are critical. And we teach people that old style community where there might be a baker who the kids knew the baker's name, the baker knew their name and knew a few little things about them, that those relationships matter, that those little connections matter. And that baker might never be a huge deal, but they might later in life rise to some prominence in your child's life and be able to guide them in a school choice or something like that. So, yeah.
I just have a comment about coming from somebody that's a little bit older in this club. But when you're 20 years old and you've got this little bundle of joy in your hands and not exactly sure what's going on in the first place, I think that my mantra always was, don't these things come with manuals? I can read a book and it might give some help, but being part of a bigger community and being able to share your fears and your joys as well, because there are joys, is a big part of starting to learn how families work, how you want to raise your kids, and hopefully you keep your fingers crossed, it's all going to go okay. And I just have to say that working on that model turned out okay for me. And I know there are other challenges in the world other than those that I might or might not have endured over the period of time. But I think there isn't a manual, and I don't think you could develop one, because personalities play such a big role in child raising in families. That's all I have to say.
Great points, Anita. And nowadays parents are taking so much responsibility for really a perfect outcome for kids. I saw Jackie said something about, you can't be perfect. And another crazy thing we teach our moms is to celebrate tiny wins, because tiny wins get you in the right direction. And a lot of our moms, they're so discouraged because they're not able to become the perfect parent they're trying to be. It's really hard at first to start celebrating tiny wins, but that is how you get in the right direction.
Jacqueline, as an older parent, grandparent, almost as old as Anita, I grew up in a certain world, and when we had kids, we sort of tried to parent them in the same way that we were parenting parented as children, and the world has changed, and many of the things that we tried to do didn't work in the new world.
Very, very true. But it's fascinating. I love getting into this because when I mentioned attachment science, and I won't get into it for time, but when I mentioned attachment science, the reason why some of the things that you did aren't working the same now is because of the attachment shifts. And there's ways to shift things back so that your kids don't naturally listen to parents the way they used to. You really could count on your kids listening a lot better 50 years ago than now. Like when I was growing up, kids were listening better than now. That doesn't mean perfect. And I don't know if that's part of what you're meaning.
Do you work with the Family Resource Center at all?
I haven't. I've only been in Edmonton now 2 years, and I have recently been looking at, talking with them. I miss the days, we all miss the days when we could actually go in and speak with someone, and maybe we'll be back there sooner rather than later. Would be amazing. But yeah, so if you know, Charlene, anyone there that I should talk to, I'd be delighted to.
There's a few of us that sit on the Safe Stop Abuse in Families board, so that's just something that's familiar to us.
Fabulous.
And I think Shauna sits on the board for Jessica Martel.
Oh, fantastic.
So this is a topic dear to a lot of our hearts.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear your story and very interesting what you're offering.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah,
if you need contacts at Family Resource Center, there's a few of us here that can probably get you some.
Thank you, Charlene, very, very much. Well, and maybe I can end with, well, not end with if people have got questions, but I know pretty soon you have to go. You can email me at Great Parenting Simplified, and it's just my initials, JRG. So Jacqueline Ruth Green at Great Parenting Simplified. And yeah, I would love to talk to Shauna. I'd love to talk to you more, Charlene, and anyone else who is got some ideas, and also who just knows somebody who might want support too. I'd be delighted.
Hey, Jacqueline, James Casleas here.
Hey, hi, James.
Hey, all my friends, Rotarians, and my sister, Jacqueline Green from Edson and fellow Rotarian. Just wanted to give a shout out. Just wanted to say thanks for the great presentation. Thanks for sharing your story, and just sharing some love and support in the world. And that's what we're all about as Rotarians, as human beings, and just trying to make the world a little bit easier and reaching out in community, and just keep up the great work, and maybe we can help you out in some way. So take care.
Thank you, James. And I want to say, tears just came to my eyes because you know the value of community. James Casaleas, there's a slight risk that you won't want me to share this, but I will share it because it reflects so well on you. When I left my ex for the second and last time, I ended up getting help from social services who I had approached when the kids were little. Of course, I had first met this worker actually when I had just come back from the shelter. I was in the shelter a week, and then my ex cleared out of the house and agreed to my terms of not contact. So I came back. So I met the worker then, and she ended up giving me my damage deposit, but James offered it. James offered to just give me the $1,400 I needed or whatever it was. And that was one of those incredible moments of just realizing the value of community and this incredible human being who would just offer that. So had I not built community, I wouldn't have ever gotten out of that relationship. That's one of the points. And James knows my ex. My ex is a good man in many ways. He's got a major blind spot that has cost him a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Jacqueline, for sticking it out. For in spite of the fact that you were not feeling well, we really appreciate you speaking to us this morning. Very encouraged by the participation, the engagement from the group here, and as Charlene said so well, this is a topic that is near and dear to this club's heart and to individuals within the club. So congratulations to Great Parenting Simplified for becoming a nonprofit cooperative. And we appreciate James showing up this morning and giving you a shout out. And as a thank you for your presentation at our meeting today, we will be making a donation in your name to the Rotary International Polio Plus program, a worldwide program focused on polio eradication. So with that, Jacqueline, we will let you go. We know that hopefully you're feeling better and you can answer those phone calls. Hopefully everything's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. As a Rotarian, I really honor our former Rotarian, the polio contribution. Thank you.
All the best. A few quick reports and announcements. The draw is today, so we're going to be doing that right at the end of the meeting. Woo, woo. And there are some people that showed up this morning just for the draw. I know it, but for the presentation as well. Our club assembly is on January 21st. We will have the president-elect nominee vote, as well as the vote on the history project. Are there any other reports or announcements at this point? Hearing none. Our next meeting is on January 29th. Because our club assembly is on the 21st, we will not be having a meeting the next day. And our presenter will be Dave Thomas, who's board director, Habitat for Humanity. And that is not this Dave Thomas, just so that you know. Quickly, birthdays and anniversaries. Dawn Wolf had her birthday on the 12th. So happy birthday, Dawn. And John Carl had his birthday on the 13th. Look at that. Anniversaries. Fern and Geneva Prue, 46 years on January 18th. Congratulations to them. And now, straight into John Carl and Mark Moran. And Natalia.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
How you doing today, Mark?
I'm not doing too bad. A little tired. Long week. Yeah, you?
Yeah, tired.
Yeah, that's good.
It's Groundhog Day. What can you say?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, you want to start with this?
Yeah, let's do something exciting. Let's try to give some money away. I know Dave last week was like one card away from the ace.
Yeah.
Right, Dave? Do you feel like you're just robbed? All right, we have 20 participants.
Awesome.
So Natalia, we need that number 1 through 20, or one. Sorry, can't talk. Number one between 1 and 20. Woo.
17.
17. Wow, there we go. And we have Anita, the big winner.
Woo! And she's on the call this morning too.
Yeah, it's a good thing she called in.
I need the money too.
You're allowed to unmute yourself. Let's hear from you, my friend.
You want me to mute myself?
No, unmute yourself. You're actually allowed to this time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Tell Kathy when to stop moving her hand.
There. No, not that end, the other end.
Do a diamond.
I bet it was
Sorry,
on the
Anita.
other end.
We love you, but as everyone so far.
I know. It's just the luck of the draw, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark,
That's great.
Did you give me the ace to put back in this deck, or do you still have it?
I don't know.
Well, if he does. it's
So
okay.
everyone, just to let you know, the pot is now at like $750. That's what you would get. So like double that, and that's what.
That's Canadian dollars, right?
Yeah, so like 5 American. So if you want to participate, send us money, and yeah, the chances are getting better and better each week.
$5 a week, and yeah, your odds are pretty good.
Yeah. May the odds be in your favor.
May the odds forever be in your favor. Yeah. Okay, let's go into our happy bucks, because we know we got some happy people, and I'm once again going to start it off because I'm very happy that Rebecca passed her driving exam on Wednesday, and she drove the kids to school this morning. So I'm a happy man.
Yes.
I'm a little less happy though, because she parked my car in front of Dooley's house, and apparently he's already put it on Kijiji. So
It's pretty cheap there actually, and apparently it's got summer and winter tires, so feel free.
yeah, Emery, you're right. That's my new designated driver, because I can't leave the house to go drinking, so I need a DD. Yeah, so I'll start off with the happy bucks. I got $5 for that.
Perfect.
Who else do we have happy today?
I've got 5 happy bucks. Today at 4:30, I'll be officially retired.
Woo!
That's kind of exciting.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I've got 10 happy bucks because Jennifer is retiring today.
Oh, there you go.
Sure if I should say thank you, or she's glad that I'm leaving the chamber.
It's completely for selfish reasons.
Oh, okay.
Now, all day is 1 o'clock for you two. Who else is happy? Happy, happy, happy. Come on. You're a happy group.
I'm doing a test here. I've got cold bucks because I'm standing in the cold waiting for this damn draw.
It's next week, Andre.
He's on his driveway waiting for you guys.
That's hilarious.
Well,
Who
just
else
to
is happy?
just to keep Andre waiting a little bit longer, I'll throw in $5 for my daughter had her surgery on her eardrum. It's been a 4-year wait, and it's in and it's done, and now we're on the mend. So yay for that.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Yeah, fantastic.
Did she get the hearing back?
We'll know in about 8 weeks.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful. Who else is happy? We know there's some happy people out there. Because I do have some screenshots I want to share today. So
We gotta hope we're
that,
not on those.
I'm happy that Andre's freezing his butt off, so I'll pay $5 for that.
Okay, well, you're a miserable, grumpy crowd for the most part today. Let me just grab these screenshots here.
That's not very good.
The sun's right in my eyes.
Oh, it must be tough, Anita. Sun's in your eyes.
Jackie, my dad is outside because they are doing the 50-50 draw and someone else is doing it, so they can't be inside our house because we don't live with that person, so they're doing the draw on the driveway.
Fair enough.
Sucks to be Andre.
Okay. So I got some screenshots here to hand out some fines. The first one is in honor of the fact that the hockey season has started again. I don't think anyone realized, but we actually have a sports announcer in our midst.
Jason.
Jason, you're taking hockey a little too seriously. So that'll be $5 to you. We also apparently have, well, let's just call him the defendant in our midst. Will the defendant please rise? Looks like your mugshot there, Michael. So I'm going to hit you for $5 on that one.
Michael.
And finally, speaking of the defendant, it looks like we have a criminal in our midst. A house cam or house video camera caught this scene of some burglar or someone checking out cars or something. I don't know. But everyone be safe because Andre is apparently in the neighborhood. So Andre, you're double this week, so you only have to pay once. But thanks for being a sport. Do we have any other fines, Mark? Who do you got? Anyone?
I don't really have any fines.
Everyone's well behaved right now because of COVID. Yeah. They're not getting into any trouble.
They can't.
Yeah, which is really not so much fun. But we might have some fines from the floor. So let's hear what we have there. Anyone? Or sorry, fines from the screen. Okay. Well, I'm gonna throw
John.
Oh, Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was sleeping just a little bit. We do have a new member in our house.
Oh.
We have a little dog.
Aww.
9 weeks old, and still peeing all over the place. But other than that, delightful.
That's fantastic. What kind of dog is it, Charlie?
Well, its mother is a German Shepherd, and the father is a Husky.
Go get it on, Charlie. Go get it. Go get it.
It's gonna be a big one.
Yeah,
To see that.
as long as it's not more than 60 pounds.
Go and get it. We want to see it.
Oh, okay. Just hang on.
Well, Charlie is busy chasing a dog around his house. Do we have any other fines from the floors or happy bucks?
John, I'll
John. Okay, go ahead, Doug.
First, then you, Jerry.
Okay, I'll put in a $5 happy bucks. Last night, the community services meeting met and decided to fund $2,000 to Kids Sports St. Albert. So that's an organization that provides equipment and registration. So
that's wonderful.
Okay, here's the dog.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Oh, my dog.
Oh.
It'll grow on its own. I don't have to make it bigger.
Oh, it's adorable.
What do you call her?
Benji.
Him. Okay.
It's a him.
Yeah.
And because we're a poor family, we had to recycle the name of a former dog.
A fitting tribute.
Yeah.
That's
That
wonderful.
means it's a good name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
The little kids call the clock downtown Big Benji.
Oh.
Oh.
That's cute.
It's adorable.
John, do you mind if I interrupt for a second? Craig Mallon, I see you're still online. I think you're supposed to be at my house here.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you needed a witness or not. I'll be there in 5 minutes, Andre.
All right, thank you.
And that I think was a fine from the floor. So
Yeah.
Who gets the wire?
Jerry, who has something you wanted to add?
John, I'd like to find Kathy this morning for giving us makeup lessons while she was getting ready in our opt-out room there.
It's true. They got to see the transformation. I will pay $5.
It's okay. It's okay. I needed the lesson, so thanks, Kathy.
And I would like just to give a shout out to Anita's doppelganger who has joined us from Palm Springs. Anita, could you do an introduction there, please?
Who's here?
She's muted. Can you unmute yourself?
She has a red sweater on and blonde hair.
And her name is yours.
Her name is what? Sorry.
There we go.
It's Kay. Kay Van Zandt. Can you hear me?
Kay, I can hear you. Where's your picture? Put yourself on the screen.
I have no idea. It took me for
There you are. Okay. Kay Van Zandt, a long time, one of the original members of the Palms to Pines Rotary Club in Palm Desert, California, coming to you from sunny California. Kay, thank you very much for coming along. I'm thinking that maybe I'm thinking that maybe the invitation needed some more explanation. That when the time is local, so 7 o'clock in California is 6 o'clock in Alberta.
Get in.
No.
Mountain time.
Mountain time. So you're a little bit late for the total meeting.
Okay.
Go ahead. Now it's your turn.
You're welcome to come back anytime.
Happy to have you. I think on that happy note,
I was
Mark,
just saying that it took me. Sorry?
go ahead.
It took me about 45 minutes to get in. I don't know why, but I wound up doing it on my little tablet rather than on my regular PC. And then I thought I was in. Then apparently I was muted and didn't know it. So I'm not very familiar with Zoom. So but anyway, I'm here.
She's like me, not a techie.
Right.
Welcome.
I think on that happy note, Mark, we're done, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
We're done. Mark, back to you. Thanks, Mark.
Very
See you,
good.
Mark.
Thank
See
you,
you,
Mark. Thank
Go,
you,
Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Go.
So I think we're going to try and move things forward just because Andrea is freezing his butt off. Don't forget that we are on many platforms of social media: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find recordings of this meeting and others on our YouTube page. And I'd like to thank our presenter this morning, Jacqueline, Daria for the introduction, Dave Pickering for the inspirational moments, Mark and John and Natalia. And remember, if you need support, reach out to your club members for yourself or somebody else. Lynn King is our caring coordinator, and she's there for you to connect with. There are many online resources, and it's okay not to be okay. I think the statement was great is now the okay, so it's okay not to be okay. And if you wouldn't mind with joining me on the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun?
Will be fun.
So that is the end of our formal meeting. Now we're going to go straight into this ticket draw. And before I hand it over to Andre to do the draw, I just want to do a big shout out to Isabel for leading this process, for taking us through virtual 50-50. That was a challenge all the way around, but was successful. And I think, Andre, you commented that the most we've raised for a pool of a 50-50 in the past was $6,000. So this is very impressive. Shout out to Emery for going nuts on social media and making things happen. Incredible. And Laszlo for sending out emails and sorting through the rat's nest of tickets that Andre is now tasked with trying to figure out. So we should be coming up for the draw pretty soon. And I believe Dale Monaghan, who is president and CEO of Goodwill Industries, should be making the draw. So I'm going to hand it to you, Andre, if you wouldn't mind.
All right. Okay, well, Craig Mallon, our ex-military guy, finally made it, so I'm happy about that. So that's good. So he's our second witness. I've got Dale Monaghan over here, just standing in front of the bit. He's going to be ready to pick the ticket down, and then he's going to say a couple words. So, Craig, I might get you to open up the box, and Dale, I'll get you to pick.
Do the right thing, Andre.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Dad, we can't see the box. There we go.
Right there. Just a ticket number, so we'll just get that back to you then?
Yeah, well, I'll let you read.
It's a little dark here. Can you read that number?
It's the suspense.
wait for it. Looks like the D is in Delta 1803.
Yeah, I don't know what my number is.
Thank you, Andre. Good morning, everybody. Mark, thank you very much for this opportunity to be involved with the 50-50 draw. I brought my $50 for a bunch of 12 tickets, but because I'm involved with the draw, I cannot be officially involved. So I'm going to turn this $50 over to Andre for the Rotary Club, as I had intended and was excited to be involved in the actual draw itself. How Canadian it is here. We got Tim Hortons. We're in a Canadian winter doing a draw for a 50-50 outside. Andre's invited us in for bacon and eggs after. He doesn't know that. His eyes just got really big. But anyway, thank you very much. The investment of the Rotary Club through the 50-50 to Goodwill Industries of Alberta will go directly into a sustainability initiative here in St. Albert. We don't know the exact number. I'll find that out after. It's around $2,500, I understand. So we will match that. So that $5,000 for this initiative will go directly into a sustainability initiative dedicated right here in St. Albert. So we're really excited about that. We've had recent meetings with the City of St. Albert sustainability team and other stakeholders. So something around $5,000 will emerge over the next while here in St. Albert as a result of your generosity as a club. So thank you to all the Rotarians. Thank you to everyone who supported the 50-50 draw. As a piece of information, we'll be opening Canada's largest Goodwill store here in St. Albert, a new center of excellence for job creation, on April 1st. It was originally intended to be in February, but because of international COVID-related supply chain challenges, in opening the largest Goodwill store in Canada, we're having to buy a lot of shelving and other amenities, and there's some supply chain interruptions. So it was going to be late February. April 1st is our locked in and confirmed date. So we will be inviting Rotarians to the excitement of our grand opening and the unveiling of this Center of Excellence for Job Creation for St. Albert with disabilities. Final note, we have a virtual job fair launching in the next week through LinkedIn. It's again a virtual job fair. Looking forward to hiring upwards of 80 people from St. Albert with a keen focus on people with disabilities and barriers to employment. So Mark, thank you very much for this morning. I'll turn my $50 over to Andre, and thank you and have a great day, everybody. God bless.
Thank you so much, Dale.
There is a name on the ticket. There is a name on the ticket. I didn't see it at first. So congratulations to Jimmy the Greek. You're the winner, my friend. I'll send a screenshot of the picture to Isabel and the people that helped organize that, and the ticket will be turned over as well, along with the other one, and kept as per the AGLC license. Again, James K., you're the winner.
And how much do I win?
Well,
half of 10,700.
How much?
I'm no mathematician, but I'd say it's roughly 5,000 and change.
5,350.
5 Paul Harris Fellows.
5 Paul Harris Fellows. That is awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, that's it, gang. Thanks very much.
Thanks for coordinating, Andre. Congratulations, James. Thanks, everyone. And we will see you at the club assembly on the 21st. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, thanks.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks again for this opportunity. Neat setting, and thank you. Everybody was pretty excited about this.